If you're a death doula, please stop trying to convince people of your worth, okay? This video is going to be a little bit different because today I'm responding directly to a thoughtful comment that was left on one of my recent videos. And that video was what death doulas do not do, clarifying misconceptions. And I really believe that this is a really valuable conversation piece. So I'm just going to read the whole comment. It is a little long, so bear with me. John writes, I really appreciate your videos, Beth. Your determined, even voice and steady eyes lend me confidence in this process. But I guess I have to find this one video concerning. I'm playing devil's advocate here. If I were a potential customer of a doula, I would gather that the death doula doesn't really do anything. They walk beside. As a pragmatic person with a compartmented life, I would hear that and think my loved one is dying in bed. No one is going to be walking anywhere with them. Even if I could accept that as some sort of poetic metaphor, and yes, I love the book and have bought it for grief-stricken friends after the death of children, I might be suspicious that this doula person is not above board. So what is this death doula person doing? Sitting around the house? And why should I pay them for that? And what's this whole holding space notion? That sounds poetic and new agey, but what on earth does that mean? I think walking beside and holding space would need a lot of filling out before they sounded like valuable compensated skills. This isn't criticism of you or the way many death doulas talk, it's more me, a 60-year-old working class male, thinking about doing this work and how I would define the importance of the role to, let's say, a very busy, hardworking man of a dying parent or son of a parent who's dying, who has a lot of responsibility and not necessarily much money and is trying to suss out what needs to be done in terms of their parents' impending death. I keep thinking how I would explain my value to the dying in ways that seem relevant and essential. And John, thank you so much for asking the question that a lot of people want to ask, but we just don't. I didn't find it disrespectful at all. I love the directness, and that comment opened up a door for a real conversation. So let's talk about it. When I talk to people, I usually start off with something like a death doula is a non-medical professional who helps aid and support the dying and their loved ones during the process of death, dying, and grief. So, basic explanation, right? I also go into saying how we don't replace hospice. We don't replace clergy. We don't replace funeral homes. We're not therapists. We never claim to be. We're just part of the care team. We offer the emotional, logistical, and spiritual support. So I often relate it to birthing doulas, but on the other side of the life cycle. And with birthing doulas and death doulas, you don't need one to be born or die. But when a death doula is there, or a birthing doula is there, the whole experience can feel steadier, more personal, and more supported for everyone involved. Believe it or not, some birthing doulas have told me that they have experienced fathers saying, we don't need a birth doula, I'm here to help support. And I get it. Like, no one wants to be replaced, but we're not replacing anyone. We are just there to offer more support. So let's break down the actual tangible things that a death doula does, especially for a family who's overwhelmed and unsure. Usually say something about, we talk through about what's happening. When someone is actively dying, families often don't know what's normal and what's not. This might be the first time that they're experiencing death in front of their face. And I will sit with caregivers and say something like, here's what you might notice, and here's what those sounds mean. Here's what to expect next. That alone can calm a world of panic. We also help with logistics. So gathering documents, creating vigil plans, writing legacy letters, or recording final wishes. What I like to say to families is we help bridge the communication between hospice, funeral homes, and family. I often use that line with funeral directors, hospice care centers, hospitals, clergy, basically anyone who asks me anything about what a death doula does, because I think that's the biggest part of the role as a death doula in the active dying stage or in the hospice stage of death and dying. Another thing that we do is we offer emotional steadiness. Now, if that hypothetical adult son is exhausted and doesn't have the time to read every pamphlet from hospice, we're the ones that says, it's okay. Let's explain what's happening with your parent in real words. We sort of break it down and bring it down to a level where it's human again, or it's not clinical, but real life terms, real life explanation. Because in those waves of uncertainty, especially in the death and dying process, the brain is scrambling. For the people who are caregiving and sitting with their loved one, it's one thing to know the information, but it's a whole nother thing to experience it with a person that you love and is now doing these weird things, and oh my gosh, like it's happening, and there's this anxiety that's building up, and my brain's scrambled. I can't think straight. What did that hospice nurse say? What did that doctor say? What should I do next? Did we give them morphine? So by bringing in that emotional and steady nature of, I've been through this before. You're doing great. Let's explain what's happening again. This is all normal. That allows for some peace to settle. One other thing that we do is we normalize grief. I've sat beside spouses who can't even go into the room. I've held space for adult children who need to sob without someone to rush in to fix them. I think of it like the sitting around is not just doing nothing, It is emotional labor, which is just as real as physical and logistical work. And another thing that I see a lot of is we normalize the grief before the grief, that this is a big change, that this is hard, and it's okay to feel exactly how you feel. This is all normal. Of course you would feel this way. So normalizing that process often helps with the grief process afterwards, because when we feel safe to feel exactly what we're feeling in those moments, that is exactly when people can really start the healing process early. So let's talk about the term holding space. That phrase, I get it. I know it sounds new agey, especially if people have never heard it before or if you've never heard it before, but I'm going to tell you the truth, because holding space is just the ability to sit with someone without being judgmental, without interrupting, without fixing, especially when you're sitting in the room with someone who's afraid or confused or grieving, and we're not making it about us, right? We're not here to fix it. We're not here to rush it. We're just there to be the calm center in the storm. Therapists are trained to do this. It's a great model. They sit there, tell me more. Clergy often do this. Death doulas do this. And if you are an empathetic soul, you have a lot of empathy, you probably do this too. Where people say, I love talking to you because I just feel so safe to express myself. That's holding space. Now, this is a skill. It takes emotional regulation, listening, presence, non-judgment, and you can build up this skill. And like therapy, it's not free because it looks invisible. Holding space is often the only moment that someone in the family feels safe enough to say what's really going on their heart. That moment can shift everything in their healing process and going forward. I have seen it many, many times be so transformative and so healing and worth way more than a dollar amount that you're creating for your packages. So John said something really honest, like, why should I pay someone to be in the house during this time? So the truth is, not everyone is going to see the value in this work. And if they don't, it's okay. It is okay, and let that be okay. We are not here to try to convince. We are here to serve. That's my belief anyway. But for the families and people who do see the value in it, who have experienced what it's like to go through a death, feeling unprepared, unheard, unsupported, it is priceless. Absolutely priceless. And I get it. Putting a price tag on this type of work can feel really hard, because what is the dollar amount that I put on that service, and how do I get this, how do I make it tangible? And I think underneath that is the question of, what if they can't afford it? And that's a real concern. That is a real concern. And I get it, because I lived in that right in the beginning. I lived in it for a long time, and I was like, I don't know if people can afford it. And, I would discount my prices, and I would try to do a sliding scale for everybody, and I burnt myself out a lot just by that one concern, because I wanted to care, and I wanted to give, and I wanted to serve. So in most cases, in today's temperature, when I now serve other families and they say, I can't afford you, okay, that's okay. I connect them to the hospice, or I tell them what hospice does offer, because sometimes they might forget. Hospice has social workers that can help connect them to different resources in the community or within their hospice care center. I can share free grief resources or low-cost therapy options that are out there. And this is all due diligence that I've done with the community that I'm in, where I've done my research, and I have a spreadsheet, and I have these documents that I've created for my toolkit, so that when I have a family that says, I just can't afford you, I know that I know that I need you, but I can't afford you, I can hand them these sheets and say, here's some resources. You're not alone. This is what you can do. And so another way I have done this work is through sliding scales. I do have some other death doulas who do volunteer. They just want to do this work out of the goodness of their heart, and they don't charge any money. And so I refer to those death doulas too, which is why it's so important to network and get in communication with other death doulas that are out there. So and a little caveat too, when I work with sliding scale, there's usually a number per month that I hit, and then I am able to do a working sliding scale. So that's just how I do my death doula work. But everyone is different, so there is no right or wrong way. This is your practice. So support doesn't always mean a paid package. Sometimes the support is knowing who to call, being able to be a resource, because that is invaluable. And I will never turn someone away without giving them something to have, to help them out. Because that's why they're reaching out. They're feeling scared and alone. So being able to be a resource is really important. So let's imagine that hardworking, busy son that John mentioned. He's overwhelmed, short on time, probably short on sleep, unsure where to begin. And I get it, because I would say a good portion of the clients that I walk into when I go into a consult call and I'm there, that's what I see. A hardworking, busy caregiver that is overwhelmed, short on time, short on sleep, and frazzled of what do we do next? Because we're programmed to do the next thing, to do, to have a to-do list and to go. And death calls us to slow down. A lot. So when I go into those spaces, I say something like, we're not doing this alone. I'm here to help explain what's happening with your loved one. I can help talk you through how to talk to hospice, how to organize your paperwork, make sure you're not missing anything important. And I can also sit with your loved one while you take a break. All right, we can talk and just hold space if things get really hard and heavy. That is real help. And for a lot of people, that's worth something. And it's not up to you to determine if they're going to see that value. And I spent a lot of time, oh my goodness, so much time trying to convince people. I met with funeral directors, elder law attorneys, hospices. I explained, I emailed, I followed up, and I got nowhere because I just wanted them to see my value. And when someone is committed to not being able to see that value, it's hard. And I felt like I really needed to prove myself. And you know what I say to that now, today? It's okay. Today I get to focus on the people who get it. The ones who see the need or felt the absence of support during a death. Those are my people. And those are also your people. And if you're exploring this work for yourself, whether you're 60 and working class or 25 and still trying to figure things out, just know this: you do not have to convince anyone. Let me repeat that. You do not have to convince anyone. You just have to show up as yourself, grounded, present, prepared. People will find you. Your people will find you, and this work will not only change you, but it will change the people around you. So, if you're curious about becoming a death doula, or you're already on the path to becoming a death doula, or you just need deeper support, I do offer mentorship, business training, or a full certification program. I have a newsletter that I send out weekly with little tips and tricks, and you're welcome to explore more videos on this channel. So thank you again, John, for this truly wonderful comment and for opening up this conversation. If you have any other questions, please feel free to leave them. I love engaging, and I love the questions that are arising in these videos. I appreciate you so, so much. So if you made it this far, drop me your favorite flower emoji. Okay, so until next time, be good to yourself. All right, I'll see you in the next one. Bye.